Hey, everybody, welcome back to STR Unfiltered. I am Bill Faith, and I am joined by my good friend Austin Palacios. Did I say it correctly, Austin?
It's not good, Bill.
Nailed it. If you've never seen the show Nailed It, you should probably check that out on Netflix. It's awesome. Austin, thanks for joining me on the podcast today. Why don't you give everybody a little bit of an intro and kind of your background? I know we met about a year and a half ago, kind of working on a deal together, and almost got a wholesale done on it, but not quite. So tell them what you do, and we'll just have a cool chat today.
Absolutely, Bill. Thank you for having me on today. I do appreciate that. So, my background is I graduated college back in 2018. I was working in wealth management in Chicago and realized pretty quickly that I didn't really like the corporate American dream that I was sold. So, I started looking into long-term rentals in Chicago. Ended up buying a house hack in Chicago in 2019. It was a 3 unit, lived in 1 unit, rehab the other 2 units, ended up moving out of there about a year later. And I was able to pull out a decent amount of equity out of that with the cash out refi. And then I moved back down to Florida during COVID, and I found this whole thing called short-term rentals in 2020. And started investing in short-term rentals with some partners in West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Tampa. And then in 2022, interest rates started to rise. So weren't really seeing as good of a deal as that I was in Florida over the previous 2 years. So then I switched over to management. So launching an Airbnb property management business, also known as co-hosting. So just a little background about myself, just in a quick nugget right there, Bill.
Cool. So tell me about your co-hosting business. Are you just co-hosting in Southern Florida? Or are you doing it all over the country?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was living in West Palm Beach over the past 4 years. So we would go all the way up to Vero Beach, which is probably an hour and a half north of West Palm Beach, and then go about an hour and 10 minutes south to like Fort Lauderdale area. So just that little area right there. And then we'd have cleaners pretty much meet in the middle, up to Boca, cleaner in Vero, and then a cleaner in West Palm Beach. So about three different cleaners for that for those three different locations. But yeah, so when I say co-hosting, I really mean like full service Airbnb property management. I just interchange those words just so the audience understands.
So are you a licensed like property manager or are you co-hosting? Kind of just so everybody understands what the difference is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't touch the money. Bill, I also have all the money funnel into their account, and then I do like ACH payment on the first of the month. So do it like
Or
that.
kind of a
But
full service co-host.
exactly. So if they need me to facilitate the maintenance, cleaner scheduling, guest communication, anything like that, I'll take care of it.
And why did you decide to go down the co-hosting route after starting off as an actual investor?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is because I had just left my job around that time, and I was pretty much out of capital, if I'm being honest. And I got into short term rentals and long term rentals back in the day just for the cash flow, right? And when you leave your job and you're not able to continue buying real estate unless you get creative, you have to figure out another way to do it. So I just figured, hey, look, I already understood the model of how short-term rentals are run. Might as well start the management side of things. And then what I realized is you can scale up management company pretty quickly. If you have the right branding, if you have the right systems in place, if you know what you're doing. So it was pretty much just a cash flow play at that point.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of people that get stuck on the investing side with cash flow, right? I mean, their investable cash is the biggest hindrance. I just got done with my B&B camp in Montana this past weekend, and one of the overarching themes between myself, Jerry Norton, Flipping Mastery, if you know him on Instagram, and Pace Morby, is really about slow, medium, and fast money. And co-hosting can fall into the fast money and also the medium money, whereas short-term rental investing, even though I believe it's still the number one asset class, I would never switch to MTR. I would never switch. I shouldn't say never, but at least right now, I'm not switching to MTR. I'm not switching to LTR. So I still believe it's the number one asset class. You get the same appreciation, you get better tax benefits, you get all that stuff. But what happens is it's slow money. It's the same as LTR. Even if you do 7x what an LTR can do, it still takes a while to be able to build up that cash flow. So I love that pivot. I mean, I didn't really pivot, but I was an investor first, and then I started co-hosting. I make $400,000-500,000 a year co-hosting. It's pretty easy. Your boy Patrick, he was up there in Montana with me. He's gone from 5 to almost 120 properties, in about 11 to I think 12, 13 months. And he talked about that when he was on stage up there. I think it's something that a lot more people should get into. So You're not co-hosting, you're not flipping, just really focusing on the co-hosting side right now?
Yeah, mainly the co-host and Friday. And the big thing that I noticed too is when I was buying these short-term rentals, it was easy to do. It was a small business, but whenever you start your own, you're pretty much starting a property management business at the end of the day. And there's a lot that I had to actually learn during that period. So that whole first year, I was kind of banging my head against the wall, trying to learn systems, trying to figure out how to actually build a business. And I mean, I've heard so many people talking about co-hosting over the past couple of years. I was like, oh, this has to be easy. But what a lot of people don't really talk about is the actual business that goes behind show hosting. So that's really where I had to focus my attention on that first year, learn how to actually run a business, set up a business, and then actually find clients. So
I think the hardest part about co-hosting, and my wife, brings this up at every month, is the invoicing and, taking all of the crap, the maintenance and the cleaning fees and everything, getting everything straight on the invoice. I should say it's the hardest. It's the most time consuming, at least in our aspect. So let's break down your portfolio. Kind of share with everybody, how many properties do you have? What's kind of the property mix? Are you doing condos? Are you only doing beachfront, high end luxury? What is it? And then when we get done with that, let's talk about the finance behind it.
yeah, absolutely. So I still own that one long-term rental in Chicago. It's 3 units. I got a killer deal with that back in the day, like a 2.7 interest rate. So I cash flow literally like $2,000 on that, which is like unheard of in long-term rentals. And then I own two short-term rentals in Palm Beach Gardens, which is about 30 minutes north of West Palm Beach. Those bring in probably between 120 to 95,000 a year. And then I own one in Fort Lauderdale. Ended up selling that 6 months ago. That was bringing in roughly probably 110,000. And then I have one that I own in Tampa that brings in roughly 125,000 a year. Now these houses that I own, they're all 4 bedroom, 2 bath pool houses, 15 minutes from the beach, non HOA communities, designing like a usually boho coastal theme. That's kind of like where it works down here. And then the one in Tampa, I kind of just went all out. I hired Bridget to come in and design it. So she did the whole funky colors and everything for that.
And hold on, let's stay on that real quick. What did you have 5 properties, is that right?
Four
4
properties, one
properties,
lot,
and
green,
what do you
four town.
net off of that? Are you netting a pretty equivalent percentage? Are you in, like, the 25-30% range?
Yeah, so I'm probably netting around $3,500 on an annualized basis for each property.
3,500 a month.
Yeah, 3,500 a month.
Gotcha, so roughly about $40,000 each.
Exactly. Yep.
Cool, awesome. Alright, now let's talk about your co-host portfolio. What does that look like?
Yeah, so currently 37 properties under management. So I try to only focus on single family homes, right? So in South Florida, the properties that perform the best are going to be the ones with a pool. Everybody wants an amenity with a pool whenever they come to Florida. So if it's 4 bedrooms, full house, it usually brings in around 100 to $120,000 down here. If it's designed decent and you have decent furniture. And so I'll bring on properties within 120 to $60,000 in income, and I charge a 20% management fee, right? So if you're charging 20% of $60,000, your baseline should be $1,000 in management fees, and then it's 120, then you're around the $2,000 mark. So that's kind of where I focus on. I have had some properties that were higher end, like I had two that were 250,000. At one point in West Palm Beach, they slept 32 people. But what I found is it was an HMO owner, and literally took up all of my time. And they weren't paying me 20%. I think I was making 13%. So I ended up parting ways with them, and then they ended up managing themselves. But those are out there. You can find those properties for sure. It's kind of like a needle in a haystack at the end of the day. But between 60 to 120,000 is kind of, there's an abundance of them to be able to manage.
Nice. So have you thought about going to a different market to where it's easier to find those more higher end properties that do 200, 250, $300,000 a year?
Yeah, definitely. So I do want to do that, but I think right now, so I have a system set up in South Florida now. A lot of people know me. Like I got somebody text me this morning about a deal in Delray. So I get leads coming in, referrals that way. I have like a pretty strong like SEO presence on Google. So if you type in like West Palm Beach Airbnb property manager, I'm like number 5 or number 6. So I get leads coming in from my website as well. So I have thought about going to another market, like maybe a smaller market where they have maybe 2 or 3 property managers and they're charging like 30%. I think that makes sense. It's usually these mom and pop operators that don't have dynamic pricing in place, don't have any of the new technology. I've considered that. I've never taken that step.
And how are tell share with everybody what you're doing for a customer acquisition standpoint, because for me, that's the easiest part, because I'm an expert in marketing and lead generation. I think most co-hosts struggle with that, right? And I see the same crap online as you probably do. Oh, go target the Vacasa houses and then, go use PropStream and send them the direct mail and all the same bullshit that we see from everybody else. And then you have 57 people hitting every one of those Vacasa properties. So what is your strategy?
Yeah, 100%. I think what you're really good at too is like you're great at marketing, but you're also good at sales. And a lot of these people,
That's because they're the same thing.
yes,
It's
a lot of
marketing. I was just on the phone with a former colleague at HubSpot actually, and I hadn't spoken to him. He was one of my not BDRs, I don't even know, account managers, I guess, at HubSpot in 2008 and 9, and I hadn't spoken to him for probably 5 or 6 years, and it's really interesting. He is breaking into the linen business. He has these high-end towels, right? And we just started talking, so that's why he called me. We just started talking about lead generation. And I'm like, "How are you doing your lead gen for your new business?" He's like, "How are you doing it for this?" I said, "Well, I don't really do it a whole lot for my own properties, but I do it for my co-hosting business." And it's super interesting to me, and I'm gonna share with you what I'm doing that will benefit any co-host, but I wanna let you finish because 'cause I'm doing something I promise you nobody in this industry is doing.
now you got my curiosity going. I gotta hear this.
So, but just remember sales and marketing, and the reason I brought up Ollie, he coined the term with a guy named Dan Tyre at HubSpot back in the day of smarketing. Sales and a marketing are one thing. They're not separate. I think a lot of people think that sales is over here, marketing's over here. You got to intertwine the two. And if you can do that, it's really smart marketing. It's marketing, right? So I kind of announced this to my inner circle members. We had a 2-day boot camp here a couple of weeks ago. And so, I mean, I have the top 5 Airbnbs in every market that I'm in. And what I mean by that is I own Palm top 5 Palm Beach Airbnb.com or top 5 Airbnbs.com in Palm Beach. And then I put mine on there. And it's like there's a call to action. Hey, want to become one of the top 5 Airbnbs or make it to the 1%? Does your property management company suck? You want to find the nouveau area? So I own Market My as our partner, Market My SDR with my guy Scott Hill. I can go in and I just take one page, I build out the template, and then I duplicate, 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 copy, copy, copy 4 to 5 pages. Then I run $2 a day in Facebook ads targeting the geographic area of people that only own property, in that area. Let's just use West Palm Beach as an example. Way less than spending money on search engine optimization over time, way less than running Google ads and a much higher conversion rate. But the key for me, and that's why I asked for you about trying to target higher end properties, I scale my co-hosting, portfolio exactly how I've scaled, my 550, 250 plan, what I just repeat and rinse and repeat for how I invest and buy property. Except for one thing's different. When I close like on a $3 million property, the one I host a B&B camp at Montana on the 550, 250 plan, I go back to baseline every time, which means then I bought a $559,000 condo, which we're taking live next week after that. So I start back at the bottom and then escalate my way up. With co-hosting, you need to go to the top and stay at the top. So now I will not take on a property unless it will make over $200,000 a year. If I can't make 50K off of a property today, I'm not going to do it. So I look at all these people that are taking on $60,000 properties at 18% or 15%, they're making 7,500. Even if they're making $10,000 a year, they got to co-host 5 properties to one of mine. Does that make sense? So that's the thing that I look at. A lot of people make the mistake of just taking whatever comes in, whatever lead generation or through Facebook groups or referral or whatever it is, and they don't systematically build out what they want their outcome of their portfolio to look like from the beginning.
It also affects your branding too. At the end of the day, you're taking on, see, you have a luxury property portfolio, and you take on this property that's doing $40,000, $50,000 a year. I mean, how's that going to look to your other owners too? Now you're taking on everybody bill. Like, how's that going to affect my
Well, we
business?
also only have so much bandwidth to, stay at the level. Like if you have 37 properties, I discussed this with Patrick, last week. There's no fucking chance he is delivering the results to his owners that he did with 100 properties that he did with 5. It's impossible, and you can't do what at 10 at 37, right? So that's kind of why I've tried to stay small. I own 13. Actually, my co-hosting is down to 9. But on those 9, my average gross revenue right now is $312,000. So I'm making roughly about 60K to $62,000 per property. That's gonna be about 550 to 600,000 gross. And as you know, the costs are fucking minimal. I'm probably gonna net around 450 to 470 this year.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, that's the thing though. Like you bring up a really good point. Is you can get disciplined on which property you're actually bringing on and only take on those properties you only know for that. And then you only have to manage 5 properties. It's just finding those 5, which comes down to your marketing, which you have dialed in. It's just getting other people to understand how to actually do marketing and then learning sales, right?
100%. And I think that the key component in today's podcast for everybody that I hear from Austin is number 1, he is in one market. And one of the things that I hate is when I see people, "Oh, I'm in Phoenix, and then I've got a couple in Gatlinburg, and I've got a few down in Fort Lauderdale." And I don't for me, it's not about the resources, it's about you can't be effective in marketing into all of those for future customer acquisition. You need to become the person of interest. You need to become, the go-to, the man or woman in any of those individual markets. So that way everybody is referring you all of the business in that market.
And so many people want to get into co-hosting and they're scared of sales. So whenever they get on these calls with these people, they're dropping their rate from 20%, 15%, 10% just to get the deal. But if you go in there as an authoritative like figure in your market and you add value to these people and tell them what their current property manager or what they're currently doing wrong, and explain what they should be doing differently, you will have no issue with charging your 20%, 25% management fee, whatever it should be.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, it's very similar to what I teach in my co-hosting masterclass, and it's exactly what I did to build my business in this brand for build short-term rental wealth. I started in 2020 June, right in the heart of COVID. For 6 months till the end of the year, I had no product, no course, no mastermind, nothing intentionally to sell, and I just helped, 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 helped. At the end of that 6 months, I only had about 2,700 people in my Facebook group, and I launched a mastermind. And it was like 4,500 bucks. It's 15K today, but it was $4,500, and I invited 18 people. 15 of them joined. Still have like 7 of the 15 are still members 4 years later. But it was because helping, 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 and that's the thing that talking with Ollie from HubSpot this morning. The HubSpot mentality of inbound marketing is not to disrupt. Give, 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 and let customers come to you. Right then, we don't really have to sell. We can just put them into the funnel and kind of mix some sales copy with inside the marketing. And, that's where we end up with smarketing if we provide a solution. So, one of the things that I teach inside of my co hosting masterclass is pick one market, go in and dominate it. How do you dominate it? You join all the local Facebook groups and you start helping people. If somebody says, "Hey, look at my new listing," and you see this in the Build Short Term Rental Wealth Facebook group, it's almost every day somebody puts in, "Hey, here's my new listing. Can I get some feedback?" Just give that feedback, or just go in and pull a listing that you see that's underperforming and use that as an example in the marketplace. And let's just say, West Palm for an example, and go in and record a 5-minute Loom video and then drop it into that Facebook group and just give them some bullet points in the copy that says, "Hey, I found this listing. It's underperforming. If you own it, here, I wanted to give you some free advice. If you don't own it, you need to look at these 4 things or 5 things for your own listing." Then people are going to come in. "Hey, can you do that for my listing?" "Yeah, I'll do it next Tuesday live on a Zoom." Jump into my Zoom. Then you get the email. Then you go in and you say, "Here's the biggest mistakes I see happening in the market." Right on it. Zoom's free for 40 minutes. I'm going to eliminate everybody's fucking mental hurdles here. "I can't have it. Can't pay for Zoom." Free for 40 minutes. So you do a 25-minute Zoom call and you go over 3 to 4 things. That's it. 3 to 4 things on what these people should be doing to make more money. Because the only thing that co-hosting clients want is for us to save them money and time. That's it. Or make them more money and save them time. Then at the end of that 25 to 30-minute Zoom, what if you have 10 people on there, I promise you 3 of them, if you do a decent job, you don't even need to fucking crush. They're gonna say, "Hey, Austin, hey, Bill, you know what? I'm a doctor. I don't have time for this. Do you know anybody that can help me do what you just taught us?" "Yeah. Hey, you know what, Bob? Let's give me your number. Let's schedule a call, or I'll call you right after we get done and let's discuss that." At least 3 people. I've had hundreds of people go through this and do this exact same thing with a template for the Zoom, with a template for the pitch deck once they get done, and with a contract. So that way you also take an elongated sales process. You know what sucks? You know where they're afraid of sales is because they get fucking ghosted, right? You
Yeah.
have that first conversation and then nobody follows up after that. You know what I'm talking about. I see that big smile because it happens to all of us. That's why we've got to speed up that sales cycle and have everything ready to go. And that's why I only want to do 3 or 4 unique value propositions for people in that Zoom because I want you to hold 2 or 3 back. So it's like, "Hey, Austin, let's get on the calendar for what's your schedule look like, on this afternoon on Thursday or on Friday?" And you're like, "Well, you know what? Hey, I've got kids. I'm busy. All right, how about Monday, Tuesday?" I don't let Austin go. He doesn't get off the Zoom. He doesn't get off the call until that next appointment is scheduled. And then I'm going to follow up with him the day before, and I'm going to follow up with him an hour before, say, "Hey, we still good?" And when I say, "Are we still good for today's call?" By the way, I found 2 more things that I need to share with you, Austin, on how you can make more money, right? So that's going to force Austin to want to get on that call. Then I am earning the opportunity to try to close him.
Yep. You're making that curiosity. So they have to jump on that call. So many people, they don't book that follow-up call. They don't. And then they're at rollout land, right? And then you're like losing your figure of authority in that conversation. Now you have to follow up with them and then they see you as an actual salesperson. But in reality, you should just be willing and actually helping them. And they need to see you as that actual person.
100%. I agree. So we're way over time here, Austin. But this has been a great conversation. I want you to kind of give me what is the one thing that you see with your fellow co-hosts that they could improve upon? What do you see that some of the mistakes that they're making?
Yeah, Bill, I think we just went over that. But the biggest thing is just believing in yourself, adding value first before you're trying to pitch people, sticking with your rate, and just explaining what they're doing wrong and how you can help them do it better or what they should be doing better. Instead of telling them how they should do it, show them what they should do before you actually ask to manage their property. Preferably, have them ask you. Just add value first. Don't be scared of sell at the end of the day. It's just you need to reprogram your mind from believing it's a sales call to you're just actually helping this person. If you believe that, you'll close a lot more deals.
It's called reciprocity, folks. The more that you help somebody, the more they're going to be indebted to want to work with you, the more they're going to trust you, the more that they see the value that you're going to add for them. And I promise you, their existing property management companies aren't doing shit. So just help, 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 give, give, give. That's the inbound marketing methodology, or jab, 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 then right hook. Austin, thanks for joining me today. Where can everybody connect with you?
Thank you, Bill. Just find me on Instagram, Austin__ Palacios, and send me a message. Tell me you found me on Bill's podcast and happy to talk to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Austin. We'll see you guys on the next episode of STR Unfiltered.